Time to call this meeting to order. It's July 11th and it is 5:02. I'm going to call this meeting of the governing board of the Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35 in order here at 570 Lito Galito, a good old Rio Grande, Arizona. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? And Ms. Carol Chavez, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wow.
Present.
I am here. Lucas Vasquez.
Present.
And Mr. Brad Beach.
Present.
Adoption of agenda, Mr. Renfro. Thank you. We have a few items. Under consent agenda, like to review item number 5, the approval of executive action for 18 U.S. history and followed by item 15, also changes, item number 15, Rachel Newman. Age change is now 42,653. With additional experience, newer experience, and then also under item 15 bars, the funding code for parent liaison should be coded to American Rescue Plan 2 Home Entitlement Program. Okay, do I hear a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Call to the public. Okay, moving right along then. Nichols recognition, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to invite Mr. Fanning up. We are beginning our recognitions as we begin the new fiscal year. Different year than the calendar year, but July is our fiscal year, and so we wanted to get in our celebrations and they contribute to the school district, for the community as well as teachers, students, and staff members.
Good evening, board president, members of the board, administration. It gives me great pleasure to recognize a pillar in our community, a pillar from day one. I don't think there's a person that I know of that would say otherwise. Mr. Nick Rendon and his team at Nichols opened up, I don't know how many years ago, but prior to that, in many different cities, restaurants and other businesses sometimes don't they fold, and that was the case in where now Nick is presently. Nick has worked his magic, and that has not happened. Now some would say it's because of the hours, you know, that going from only to lunch, but that's in this situation, that's not the case. The reason is sitting behind me right there, along with his incredible team. And it takes an incredible leader to lead an incredible team. And that's exactly what Nick does. I'm going to read something here that I wrote up. It is because of Nick, his team, and how they treat people. When you walk into Nichols, the first thing that you hear is welcome. And although that might happen in other restaurants or businesses, the staff from Nichols is genuine and genuinely interested in giving you the best customer service. How often you go into a business and the owner takes the time out of their day to greet you and genuinely care about what is happening in your life. That's what Nick does. That's what Nichols does. That's what his team does. So what else has Nick Rendon and Nichols done for the community and our district? Here's just a few things. And I know he doesn't like this. He's very uncomfortable right now. I can tell you that. He was starting to cough already this morning in readiness for perhaps coming down with something, but he's here. So he doesn't like the notoriety. He doesn't like the fanfare, but it's justified 100% in this situation. He's assisted with the cross-country regionals and invitations. During COVID, and I was directly part of this situation, he was on the front line, and in my opinion, the orchestrator of bringing leaders together to supply beef, vegetables, and other foods to our district families and the community. He's assisted with a Hall of Fame dinner. He was able to assist with the Welcome Back Blitz from proceeds from one of the few pop-up events planned and executed from Nichols staff. So with that, and for all that Nick and his team does, and we purposely, I will be very honest with you, we purposely did not put Nick Rendon here, because if we did, I don't think you'd put it up in your restaurant.
That's right.
So it's Nichols Diner. We hereby express our sincere appreciation to Nichols Diner and amazing staff for outstanding contribution and extraordinary service to the Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District number 35. Our heartfelt thanks. Mr. Nick Rendon and Nichols, thank you.
What year did you open?
2012. Oh,
Sorry.
we opened, June of 2012.
And that place had turnover quite
I can't even figure out how many people have been. But when we opened up the place, there was a color paint on one of the walls that nobody recognized. So I called Mike Karam, who was a next door neighbor to that building for many years. It was an original color from 1972 Mama Maria's. So they just painted around everything in that place.
Congratulations, your place is great and you are terrific in the district.
Thank you, guys.
Just a second, we're not done.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. No, congratulations. It's an amazing place to go, an amazing place to be with the, with your family and friends and whatever. Plus the food is amazing, very, very much. Thank you for everything that you do for our district and for our students. So
Thank you. And we don't plan to stop. We're gonna keep going.
thank you so much.
Mr. Beach?
Yeah, I graduated with Nick back in 2005, or was it 1984? I'm not sure, one of those dates. But, there you go. But yeah, I'm proud to call Nick a good friend of mine. We grew up together. He's an outstanding individual. He's hired many of my students. I worked with his wife, taught his daughter, and just overall kudos to you, Nick. Keep on doing what you're doing. And thanks for all the support you have given our school and our community.
Thank you, Brad.
Yep.
Thank you, Brad. Mr. Kramer?
Yes, congratulations to you and your staff, your family, your parents are here, your lovely wife. Of course, we go back for years too, on different situations. You've done a heck of a wonderful job. The Mama Maria's, that's right. If you can be there that long, well, maybe not in that spot. But I know they were there when I got to this place, and that was 89, 90, and that's almost 20 years. So you've got 11 years now.
Yes, sir.
Strong, and good luck to your new establishment. Hopefully that continues picking up, if that's the case with your moving on to a bigger and better places.
Looking forward to still.
Well, yes, and everything you do for Brio Rico, certainly that is the hub. You've had some very loyal customers, obviously, because that is the hub, that and Garrett's. And as John knows, that is his home away from home too in that area, because that is, and your restaurant is certainly that too, for a lot of people. So congratulations to you and your wife and everyone else that makes Nichols the establishment of Brio Rico.
Thank you.
Thank you as well for your dedication, not only to the public schools, but to our community, and this restaurant that you opened is something else. And I also want to say that I enjoyed the work you did all those years. You're so cheerful. Both are, and just so humble too. And it's just, it's just so much fun. No matter what with my kid, we always have a smile, and she's just such a cheerful person. So thank you both of you for all that you've done, and your team, everybody. Thank you for all that you've done for the public school.
Thank you. No problem. Continue going.
Well, year 23-24 adoption, Mr. Rubin.
Thank you. Thank you. We had a proposed budget last board meeting, and today we will have the approval.
President, members of the board. The budget that you have in front of you tonight is identical to the proposed budget that was presented back in June 27th. There have been no changes, totals remain the same in all areas. We've publicized the budget according to all the requirements. And we received no feedback nor questions from the public. So the budget that you have in front of you is to highlight the bigger funds total for M&O. We are looking at $39.7 million. Including in that figure is $2 million from the 9% M&O override. And expenditures are planned as per the voter information pamphlet that we share with our community. On the other hand, our capital fund, district additional assistance, we're looking at $3.7 million for the year. Are there any questions?
Anyone have any questions? Any questions? Okay, well.
The item is for approval.
Yeah. Okay, so. Second. Do I hear a motion to approve the, oops, excuse me. The head of my throat here. Do I hear a motion to approve the adoption of the 2023-2024 budget as presented?
Moved.
Second.
The second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 So Beach, are you there?
Yeah, I,
Passes 5-0. Thank you. Thank you, Stella, for all that you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senna, for everything.
Okay, moving right along, superintendent's report. Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. It has been a very busy summer with a lot of construction going on, and been able to visit a lot of the sites with the construction going on, and then also different things happening within the district that are routine. And so actually, we received a certificate of appreciation from Chad Rice, the incident commander for the Southeast Zone, for allowing the district or allowing them to utilize Calabasas for fire incident command. And they sent us a nice picture, which I had Shannon share that with you. So that's the certificate that they gave us. And I just wanted to share that with the board because, you know, much like Nichols, we're the center of the community as well. And when it comes to a lot of different things, including when there's emergencies. And so it's something that we take pride in. I want to thank Dr. Lundgren for all of her work of being there over the weekends, late nights, making sure that the incident command was set up and had what they needed. And of course, we want to make sure that they're providing what they need to keep our community safe from any fires. And so hopefully they ended today. I think they have the fire under control. But if it does happen in the future, we're always prepared to utilize our school sites to make sure that we provide that support. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Governing board member report, Ms. Fogan.
Thank you. It is so nice to see social media that things are happening at the site still, and it is great that we're moving along with making sure all of our positions are covered. That's a great thing. And yeah, for us to be that center, that hub where the fire department knows they can, you know, count on us to give them the space that they need. That's a pretty nice way to be considered in a community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Vasquez.
Same thing, you know, moving forward, you know, in another year. Hopefully things are gonna get better, like you say, and things are gonna be coming together, you know, as a district, a solid district that we are. And one of the things that you didn't show, Mr. Verdugo, and I bet that we have a picture of it, but it was a helicopter that picks up the water from the Patagonia Lake. And I mean, the kids were going crazy because of this huge helicopter. So I thought it was really, really cool. And just, you know, it's so great that we have the facilities and we have the way of helping our community, you know, just be better than what it already is and keeping it the way it is. So Congratulations to all the kids that are coming back to school so soon. And just hopefully we'll have a fantastic year. Thank you.
Ms. Vasquez. Mr. Beach?
Looking at everything that's been happening, it doesn't seem like anybody's taking time off except me. We have
Yeah.
you know, the cross country people up there at a camp. I seen the baseball was at a camp. They're running programs. The volleyball team just finished one. So everybody's been looks like they had a very busy summer. And just looking at the consent agenda, thanks to Rich River Athletics, they're donating a lot of notebooks, and it looks like Texas Roadhouse. So thanks to those two clubs and restaurants for their donations. And yeah, we're about a month away from starting back up. So let's get after it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beach. Mr. Kramer?
Yes, good job, Dr. Lunderville, once again, right? Certainly helping the state on all that. It certainly was watching all the jets flying back and forth from here to Sierra Vista and back and forth certainly was, although they didn't even aware what was going on, at least in the neighborhood that I was in. Certainly was important. We were playing a big part of that. And as we always do, our district plays an important part because we are obviously from Ruby Road North. We are the organization that does a lot, and hopefully we continue doing a lot. And certainly I know that some things that are going on, and there's some things that I said at last meeting, but I'll bring it up again, that sometimes, you know, and I said, wait till we hear all the facts, and that's what I said. And I did my research and my homework, and not always the facts are not always what I've been told either. So I'm going to pull back a little bit and just say that hopefully our district is leading the way for what's transpiring in this community, and hopefully that our kids in district will be much more involved, and we are the decision makers, not the followers, because it is Ruby Road North is our district, and hopefully we are part of that. I share some information, and I'll try to make it as short as possible, but the gentleman I work with is a young man by the name of Eric. He's Pima County's energy type person and everything to that effect. He shared some things with me. I've shared some things with him. He shared some AI stuff that Steve, I certainly will share with you because it's very important on that, but I'll get back to what I'm talking about with energy and such. He gave me some information. We were talking about hydrogen and where that's going to play a role in our energy sector. Granted, it's not about that, but I started researching it, and it's called a community benefit agreement. And this is something that we had brought up 30 years ago when Avatar used to be here. And what community benefit did Avatar give us? And for those that have been here since '89 and earlier, you look back and say, what did they really give us? Was there an impact fees or anything like that? Was there anything to that effect? Well, this is talking about what community benefits agreements should include when anytime something like big industry comes into the area. And hopefully that, and I shared that with Mr. Verdugo, he hadn't had a chance, but hopefully we start looking at that and hold people accountable, businesses accountable, industries accountable to what they're doing from Ruby Road North. So with that said, I just want to correct myself because I don't want to be saying that I lean one way or another, other than I lean for the district. So with that said, thank you, Mr. President.
You're very welcome, sir. I'd like to highlight Dr. Lunderville. I think she did a fantastic job with the Forest Service, and just like you, I know COVID was way bigger, but just like you guided us through that, Dr. Lunderville, you do excellent work. I know you take a lot of flack from us sometimes and very difficult issues, and sometimes we're very hard on you, we're very difficult. I think it's safe to say that the entire board is very appreciative of all the hard work that you do. I'm very proud of you. And moving right along. Fiscal year 24 tax rates, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. I'm going to let the Brian share the community. It's something that we always go out into the community and make sure they're aware of. And I always love when I'm able to allow Ben Brown to share good news, because so many years we have difficult to come from his office. And it's always nice when we share some positive news about who the groups are.
Thank you, Mr. Vidal. Can we advance to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay. So
Just some highlights on our tax rates. Our tax rates in general, they're associated with school districts, okay? Most school districts in the state have a primary tax rate. And only those of us that have an override or a bond, we have a secondary tax rate. The secondary tax rate is there to address needs that have been identified above and beyond the formula. So like I said, most districts across the state have a primary tax rate in place, and only those of us that have a bond or an override election in place for approval to bring those revenues, then we levy a secondary tax rate. Also members of CTED, the Career and Technical Education Districts, we also put in place a secondary tax rate in order to partially fund those programs. So in our district, we have both. We have a primary tax rate. And then the revenue and from that formula comes into our M&O and our power. And then the secondary is the rate that provides the funding, like I mentioned, to pay back our debt for the bond and to be able to increase our M&O by our override amount, which is 9%. I just shared with you in my previous presentation that represents a little bit over $2 million. So now we need to impose a levy in order to bring that money into our budget. And then the other factor that we look at is the assessed valuation. The assessed valuation for this year that we're using, this information is provided by our county, is $197,575,000. That represents an increase of over last year's of 8.4%. So the value in our community, everything that's within our boundaries, increased by 8.4%. Now, the way we use that, let's go to the next slide, please. All right. There we go. Thank you. The way we use for assessed valuation is if we have an increase in the assessed valuation, the primary tax rate decreases. Because now I can apply a lower factor to an assessed valuation to collect the amount of revenue that I need. Right? And the true is, and the opposite is also true. When our assessed valuation decreases, then the primary tax rate responds to that drop in the value and it automatically increases. The other thing that we need to recognize is where our formula dollars come from. When we have an increase in the assessed valuation, state aid decreases. Because we're able to collect more from our local taxpayers, so then the state can contribute less. And again, the same is true when the opposite happens. When the assessed valuation decreases, then the state provides us with more funding. You hear of a handful of districts that they do not collect state aid. And that is because their assessed valuation is so high that just by applying the tax rate to their community, they raise enough funds in order to fund their budget, their entire budget, right? Again, just a handful of districts across the state, but that does happen. Next slide. In our district, I wanted to highlight how much comes from our local tax rate versus how much we receive from the state. And you can see that the majority of the revenue is made up of state aid. And then around 28% comes from our local taxpayers. Now we're going to start to look at the secondary tax rate. Remember, the secondary tax rate is there to fund anything that is above and beyond our budget limits. When I put together a budget for our district, it's based on a formula that dictates a budget limit. I cannot project above and beyond that limit. We have to stay within that limit, right? When a district identifies the need to bring in additional revenue, the only mechanism to do that is to go out into our community and to seek either for a bond if we need capital improvements, or an override if we want to increase our operating budget. In our case, we have both. We have an override at 9%, and there's the amount that is expected to generate an additional budget capacity for this fiscal year. And then there's also the cost of the of the override at 0.5227. One thing that I think it's important to highlight, and I mentioned this last year, is that we continue to offset 50% of the levy for the override with the cash that we have on hand, okay? When we went out to our community to promote the 9% override and seek the support of the community, we projected that the cost of the override was going to be 1.19. Notice that we are well below that figure. On the other hand, we have our bond payment. So we were able to bring in over $23 million worth of improvements into our buildings. We still continue to work at the final stages. We have about a little bit over $5 million left for this coming year, as I mentioned in my budget presentation. But we have to start paying back that bond, right? And the debt service payment for this coming year is $2.6 million, and the cost associated to make that payment is 1.3198. Okay. Also, a rate that is well below the projected rate from the voter information pamphlet. That's a 1.68. And then the last item that we have associated with the secondary tax rate is our participation in CETA. That is not calculate, that is dictated in statute. It has to be 5 cents. I don't have any control over that rate. As long as we continue to participate as members of the CETA, then we will continue to have that in place. Next slide. Okay. So here I wanted to share a comparison of our last year's tax rate versus this year's. The primary tax rate last year was 3.4266. Look at the primary tax rate for this coming year, 3.3098. No magic behind that primary rate other than the increase in the assessed valuation. I mentioned that as the assessed valuation goes up, the primary rate responds and it goes down. So that's that. And then the secondary rate, we have 2.0515 for last year versus 1.8929. In there, we are helping to buy down that tax rate by using some of the cash that we have on hand for the override only. So the override, we're buying down that rate by half and leaving it at 0.5227. The debt service, I just shared that with you, 1.3198. And then the JDED stable, because that's the way that formula is. The combined rate for this coming year, it's 5.2023 versus last year at 5.4781. So the recommendation is to reduce our overall tax rate, primary and secondary, by 0.2764. Next slide. I always do this comparison. I know it's not in touch with reality because the value of the homes are not the same from year to year. But I just wanted to give you an idea of what a taxpayer, how the rate compares from one year to the next. Right? Sometimes when I do this presentation, I get a call later and then I said, Gisela, I heard the presentation and you told me that the tax rate went down, but I'm still paying more on my tax bill. Well, it has to do with the value of your home, right? It doesn't have to do with a rate. And sometimes also some taxpayers forget that we're not the only entity that imposes a tax against their property. So they have to make sure that they analyze and understand their tax bill to know which entities are the ones that whose rate increase versus the entities whose rate increase for the year. Next slide, and I think that's the last one. So a little bit of where our tax rate has been, and this is starting to get too busy, so I might start to drop some years next year. But you can see that it was at 7.1 and we are in the 5s. So we're doing everything that we can, that it's in our hands to administer that tax rate and to prevent any peaks and valleys. So we don't want any of that. We want to make it as stable as possible. Next slide. That is all I have. Any questions?
Shannon, can you go back to the previous slide? I just wanted to highlight for the board because there's always a question for that 4.3 dip was. And that was prior to the bond, as well as we were utilizing 100% cash to pay for the override.
Change the formula, not only for the override, but also for the primary rate. So thank you, Mr. Verdugo, for mentioning that. In that fiscal year, The state announced that they were going to modify the formula for calculating tax rates for school districts, where they were going to limit our ability to use cash on hand to buy down the rate. So I went ahead and I came to Mr. Verdugo and I said, they gave us a heads up, so we're gonna go for it. And we're gonna use this year to lower the tax rate and level it as much as we can. We were trending down, but then knowing that that ability was going to go away, I went ahead and accelerated that trend by using as much cash as possible for that year. So that's why you see that significant drop for those years.
In addition, one of the reasons that we also now only utilize 50% is because we want that cash to last for future. We could continue to offset close to 100% of it, but it would shorten the length of the amount of cash that we have. And we want to, again, as Ms. Brown said, keep the rate as level as possible so that everybody knows each year this is close to what we're anticipating, because we're very cognizant of our community. We want to make sure that they know we appreciate their support. And so we're going to try to make sure that we continue to support them by offsetting as much as we possibly can. And then also for the future, because we want that to last as long as possible.
So, do you have any questions?
I so appreciate your clarity. Thank you so much.
Vasquez?
I just wanted to ask, what does the vertical and the lines, the numbers that are there, what do they represent? So 0 through 8 is the fiscal year?
04 to 24 are fiscal years.
Okay, the bottom, so the 04 through the 24, that's the, what is the 0?
The combined tax rate.
Oh, the combined, you see, because it doesn't say it here and I didn't. Okay, all right, so this is the combined tax rate and this is the fiscal year. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Thank you for everything you're doing. Like I said, this is the only thing I didn't understand. Everything else I did, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. Mr. Beach?
It's always good to see our taxes drop a little bit, and let's hope it continues with that trend. And thank you for the presentation, Isela.
Mr. Kramer?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, our CFO. Certainly good job on the presentations. You know that you're doing really well when we get a budget from the last time when we didn't have too much discussion in the years past and what could go longer. So you know that we're working together and you certainly are doing well, Ms. Brown, you're certainly doing well. I mean, truly, there's a lot of information that is being, and we're certainly been open. And I want to piggyback after what you've done a good job about managing, as you just recognized, right? And I've said this before, and I know you're kind of hesitant, but I'm going to ask for it anyway, is when you get those phone calls and we get those questions at times is, well, how come our taxes are going up, as you referred, that there are other entities? Well, it would certainly be nice when we do this to show what good managers we are with the tax dollar, is that we have the other entities are up there as well to show what their tax rates are, so we can show what a good job we're doing. But these other entities, not that they're not doing well, and I'm not saying that, but just to show what their tax rates are, so they don't say the district's not doing their job or the district raised their taxes. Well, wait a minute, there's other entities, Mr. Fanning, certainly, the community college, Mr. Beach, the fire districts. Certainly would behoove us when we do, and I'm just asking if you could do this in a month or so, just give a representation on that, because we deserve the credit for what you are doing. But the other entities, certainly, if their taxes are going up, well, it's not us. And I know we're the main player as far as taxes go, but there are other areas that certainly should be pointed out. So, thank you.
I think it's great. And again, we do try to present this to the community as well. We do go to TUBAC and other entities, board of realtors as well, just because we know that it's always asked about tax rates. And so it is our duty to just make sure that we're transparent and to keep that information out there. And one of the things we always say is that we know that part of the valuation in our community is because of what we do as a district. We know that the amenities that we're building and all of those things add and contribute to the community. And so it allows property tax to increase where your property values to increase.
Exactly. Mr. President, one more, and speaking of that, granted, I don't get out that much, but I certainly got out with a few guys I hadn't seen for years golfing in TUBAC. And they asked afterwards, at the place that you have established where you go have a beverage or two, but nevertheless, they're asking about what's going on with our pool and all that. And again, they're not being mean or all that. And I told them what was transpiring, and they said, "You mean the pool's gonna be open for the public, for people like us?" I said, "Yes, it is." So certainly they said, "Well, that's good that the bond money then is going towards that, because that's really good for Rio Rico." I said, "Exactly." I just want to throw that in there because again, it's the public that is paying for it, that they're gonna build the pickleball and everything else that's gonna be there for these people that like to would use the facilities. Thank you, Mr. President. Sorry, I was just going about, I'm sorry. Thanks.
I can't help but asking you, I guess, after hearing your presentation, I guess you probably like when we have lower assessments as we get more state aid.
I appreciate that the increase in the evaluation. I think it's a reflection of where our community is going. I know it follows a trend nationwide, but I think that it definitely benefits us in the calculation of our tax rates. So it helps me come back and provide good news.
Well, I'd also like to see us somehow get that word out that we're not the only ones that are taxing everybody, so maybe Mr. Beach can help us out with.
You got it.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for being such a great guardian of all of our funds. Lisa, you do such a great job. I'm proud that you're a CFO.
Thank you.
It is an action item, Mr. President.
So do I hear a motion to approve the 2023-2024 tax rates as presented?
So move.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. All righty. Principal at Calabasas School, Mr. Verdugo.
Thank you. We're very happy tonight, make a recommendation for Mr. John Chavez to be the next principal of Calabasas. Tonight you have Mr. Fanning, who was a former principal of Calabasas, and myself, who was the principal of Calabasas, and so we were great, but John's following it, and I know he's gonna do an outstanding job for our school at Calabasas. Went through a process, and the board knows that we had limited applicants originally, that we got some applicants who went through the process, formed a committee, and they identified Mr. Chavez as a recommendation. I'm gonna put Mr. Pacheco on the spot. If he was on the committee, and say a few words as to why Mr. Chavez, I know Mr. B is probably like, what? I should have showed up, but. Go ahead and turn it over.
Hi. You hear me? I wasn't planning on this, but, yeah, good afternoon, Board President, board members, administration. I was, more than happy to serve on the committee. I have 3 boys at Calabasas. I went through Calabasas a long time ago, with John. I've known John for, since we started school, probably. So I've known him for a long time, and I know he's a stand-up guy. He's a fantastic member of our community. One of the things that and there's a lot of things I admire about John, but one of the things that I admire as a parent who has 3 students there at Calabasas is the rapport that he has with students of all ages, which I think is a challenge. Some people can get along really well with, younger students, preschoolers, kindergartners. I love reading to preschoolers. I hate reading to 5th graders. I know whose attention I can keep and who I can't. But John has a rapport with all of the kids there, and he gets along with them. I know that he also has a really, really strong relationship with a lot of the parents because he went through our school district and because he's still here, he knows a lot of parents personally. He went to school with them. He's seen a lot of their, kids growing up. So to me, that's a really, really big and important strength of his and something that I think is going to go a long way at that school. So I'm really excited to have John be a leader in that school. He's already a leader. He will more, step in his career. But I think he brings a lot to the table, and I'm really excited for him and for my own kids, what's to come at that school.
Sorry about this.
did a good job, Mr. Padilla, thank you.
So with that, I'm not inviting you guys up, but again, the recommendation is to have Mr. Jones be the principal of the Calabasas.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, the rest of the governing board members, the district admin that I met and known over the years in many different capacities. I worked with Melissa before she was Dr. Lunderville. And I worked for Mr. Verdugo at Calabasas when he was the principal there. I ran track and cross country with Mr. Shadler couple years ago. My family has gone through the system. My brother is here, my youngest brother here, Phil. He's been part of the system. He was part of the system as well. And I know that being at Calabasas, there's very few people in our community, in the school district, that love our kids more than I do. I really do love all of our kids, whether it's a little preschooler to an 8th grader. I love them all. Calabasas is a very different school. But that's one of the things that I like about it, is the fact that, my days are just so all over the place with, I can have a crying kindergartner that I'm helping escort to class, or I can have an 8th grader that wants to talk to me about Disneyland. Right. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for this opportunity. I wanted to say thank you to my wife, Amanda, and my kids, Jason and Brayden, who are here with me, to my parents who, came here to support me, to my brother, to Ms. Rivas, who is one of our system principals there at Calabasas. The conversation that I had with her, with my family, with Mr. Lopez, and just it kind of, as I went through the process and as I was almost ready to apply, I wanted to make sure that my family was on board with this, because it is a change from what I've been doing. But I'm ready to commit to whatever we need to do to get Calabasas to be the best school that it can be. I have a lot of faith in our kids, a lot of faith in our families. I have great parents, at our school. We have Pancho here who has multiple kids in our school. I know that I bring my kids down from Saurita each and every day. So my kids are very happy at Calabasas. They will not go anywhere else. They want to stay at Calabasas. They want to go to Rio Rico High School. So Mr. Canoy, you will have Brayden next year. They're very excited. I know that I'm excited. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you to my support team at home. Thank you to my support team here with all the different admin. I know that 4 of the 5 principals are graduates of Rio Rico High School. And then we have a former principal who's now our HR director, who went to Rio Rico High School. We all went within a couple of years of each other, so we're all very close. We've known each other for a very long time, since we were kids. So it's kind of come full circle for all of us. And I came in with Dago. He's one of my best friends, and came in together. We student taught together. We began teaching together. We kind of changed positions, together, and now we're coming in as the principals together. So I am looking forward to working with all of them. I'm looking forward to working with them and just picking their brains and trying to do the best that I can for our school. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Ms. Fogan?
I look forward to you coming on board. Congratulations. I think this is gonna be great, because your heart is in that campus, so.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that.
Ms. Vasquez?
Same thing. Well, John goes back, me and John go back way back. Remember, he was a little chapulín about that when I saw him, when I met him. His mom and dad, we've known each other for a long time. I mean, I have so much faith in you, John. You have no idea. I know where your heart is. I know that you love our school. I know that you love our kids, our community, I mean, this is you. I mean, there's no other place that you could be, okay, except Calabasas. I swear, there's nowhere else you can be. I have a lot of faith in you. I know that you're gonna do an amazing job because you are part of this community. You know our people, you know our community, you know how to talk to the parents and how to talk to the kids, like you said. You know, you can have a little kid crying today and then another one that wants to, talk about something else, and you've got time for all of that stuff, you're a very strong individual, and I know that you are going to do a hell of a job. Thank you. I'm glad that you are there, and I'm glad that you're going to bring Calabasas where it's supposed to be. And anything you need, we're here for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. Mr. Beach?
Yeah, John, I know you're homegrown, you're from our community, you know our school district. You have your children enrolled in our school, you have a vested interest. You were mentored under some of our best leaders. So I'm super excited that you got the position. Congratulations again. I'm looking forward to your leadership and just overall, you doing an outstanding job and just propelling that school forward and making it one of the best schools in our state. So congratulations again, John.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Beach. Mr. Kramer?
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Chavez? Yes, I remember when you first started, and I think like you said, you were principal and you were certainly working over there. And what I remember, because I was a few years back, that you were coming up to saying hi to a lot of the parents, even parents from opposing school, which was Cotamundi at the time, and that was Calabasas. And you were saying hi to everybody. And what I liked really was you were saying hi to all the parents. And because I was on the board at the time, he didn't go out of his way to come to me directly, which I said that is a man of character. When you go and say hi to the parents, not because I was a board member, you're gonna go right up there and say hi to me. I said, that guy right there is a guy that has character. And the fact is, you continue showing that. And that's what it's important to being a good leader, certainly a good principal. And I know that you're a humble man as well. I realize that. And you're not afraid to ask questions and learn from that. And certainly you have a good team over there. And I know that you're gonna do well. You already know the bar where you're at. I'm sure you already know where you're gonna do and what you need to improve upon. So with all that said, I know you can do it. I know you've got a good team. You've got a good set of teachers. You've got a good support system. So, and the fact that you're bringing your boys down, that's even better. So that's good for us as well. Yes. And the fact that your wife's not gonna see you and your boys very much.
I can help you about.
Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe she's like, yeah. Just joking. I don't know that, but I'm just saying is the fact that they are gonna be here with you is a good thing too. That's important. They spend time with their father. As you know, spending the relationship you had with your father. So that's a good thing as well. So with that said, good luck, sir. And don't be afraid to ask questions, certainly.
No, I will. Trust me, I will.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Kramer. Well, I've seen you put your passion into everything that you do, from the time you were a runner to the time you were my colleague. And you even helped me out at times when I didn't know jack squat about basketball. I showed up on the court and you'd help me out. And you just done such, you made great strides, no pun intended on the road. You made great strides over the years, and I've seen you grow not only as a teacher, but as an administrator. I got the chance to see you in the spring too, when we went to go visit the school. And you just do really good work, and you come from such a wonderful family. I know your parents are just wonderful people, classy people, your brother. And like Mr. Padilla said, you have all these connections within our community, which are big. And I think one of the biggest things is that he mentioned, you're local, you know everybody here really well. And that's crucial. But I also think, John, that you're intellectually equipped you really are. And I think that you're gonna do really great things for our community. So that's cool. And also the other big one is that you have a vested interest as your children come to school here. So I see nothing but good things and longevity too.
Yes, sir.
Dedication. So I'm really thrilled. I'm thrilled that you applied and look forward to voting right now for you. So
Thank you.
thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve Mr. Jonathan Chavez as the principal of Calabasas School for the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved. Second.
In a second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Congratulations. Hey, moving right along, SCBUSD policies. Verdugo?
Thank you, Mr. President. This is item is just a carryover from previous meetings. And it is
You don't all have to wait here and go through the rest of this. meeting, so Feel free to leave if you don't want to. You might gnaw your leg out of horse.
Fine. Congratulations, John.
Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations.
Sorry, Mr. Verdugo.
Oh, you're fine. So again, this is a carryover from previous meetings for an opportunity for the board to review any policies that they want to make recommendations for us to review. And so we can again answer any questions that the board may have. We'll keep it on our agenda. If you're reviewing throughout and you want to send it to us so that we can put it on the agenda, we can do that. But again, we just wanted to keep it on the agenda to kind of hold discussion about the policies. We do that.
Let me get straight. Let me get things straight. So we can make a recommendation, vote on it tonight. We really will.
Go ahead. Yes, so if there are policies that you want to review, we can definitely pull it up. Review that if needed, and then you can make recommendations because it's different than previously when we had a first read or second read, we can just approve adjustments as we're moving because we're creating our policies throughout this year.
So Ms. Hogan, do you have any changes that you'd like to recommend?
I am still reviewing, so at this time I don't have any requested changes. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Vasquez?
Yeah, same here. I do have I did make a couple of suggestions and, but they were going to still review a couple, so, but I'm okay right now. And Mr. Verdugo knows which ones I was talking about.
Mr. Beach?
Same, I'm still looking over it, but right now it looks good.
Okay.
The fact that I did spend some time, I did send those recommendations. So I think I sent the president and Mr. Verdugo. So I had some, I don't know if we're gonna discuss those or.
We can bring that,
Do that now?
No.
we can bring that back.
Yeah, I think that if you put it in a board packet so everybody could see.
I think we'll, yeah.
Thank
I'd
you.
like to make a recommendation with regard to the organization. Chapter 1. I'd like to recommend that when we nominate the president of the governing board, that the nomination come from a fellow colleague. That's what I'd like. Any discussion, Ms. Fogan?
I don't track what you said.
When we nominate our president, I'd like for a colleague to nominate another colleague, not for a governing board member to nominate himself or herself.
Oh.
So pronouns.
Yeah, and for that one, Mr. Reardon, I'll have to check because the organization meeting is governed by statute. So let me take that back for review of the attorney, and make sure that we can adjust the organization meeting. I think it's a valid. So that you don't nominate yourself as a church.
Yes. Good idea. Are you gonna come back then?
Yes, we'll come back at the next meeting, so that'll be one of, we'll list that as organization meetings.
Yeah, that'll give everybody time to list other things as well. Okay, I'm good with that. I don't have any problem. You're very welcome, sir.
Yes. Mr. President, may I have the floor?
Yes, Mr. Kramer.
I certainly thank you for doing this and certainly for all of us who agree on this, because it certainly it brings a lot more flow to us. Instead of having to depend on what the way we did it, and like you said, first, second reads, oh no, it's just this. We're really in control of our policies, truly are, which is really quite nice.
It is.
You know, and it certainly gives us that operations. Cause it's certainly, let's run it through what is the great white Phoenix North, I was gonna say the great white north of Canada, but of Phoenix doing to, creating the situation for us, but certainly it's good. I think it's very interesting. I'd be very interested in what the law conference is gonna hold true. Cause that's controlled by,
So it's human training.
but it's run by.
ASB.
See, so that's what I would be, I'm looking forward to how the dynamics are gonna work on it. Because it is political.
Yes,
I mean, really.
very much so.
And the trust will be having their policy summit as well, so which will be prior to the law conference.
I know this year, but what's it gonna be next year?
Yeah, correct.
How's that gonna play out?
As more districts continue to move in this direction, I think
So. Always politics. Anyway, thank you, Mr. President.
You're very welcome, sir. I'd like to say that I think I'm just happy that we did it a lot of money by going with a trust. So save the district money, which is always a good thing.
And again, they are the board policies, so are the ones that said we review those, and I think it is good for us to continue to have this as a topic that we can continue to review, but I make the request that if there are things that you want, you to send those to me, so that we can get them on, listen, so that we can be prepared and have that up on the screen as well.
One other question, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
I did, I bring this up because this is one of the things I did say, and I did say that, your team is throwing in suggestions and changes too, right? Correct? I mean, from Dr. Lunderville to our CFO to even I know HR, that is new, but certainly hopefully they're making suggestions as well.
Yes, we did that, the first step. So the first draft was the draft reviewed by all of our team, and we're going to continue to look at that again as well. But yes, the first draft was, everything that was adjusted, was through either board suggestion or through the admin team. So including the curriculum, Mr. Chandler, Dr. Food Services, Scott with HR, the business office, Ms. Brown, all reviewed all of those.
Thank you. Okay, propose and prioritize topics and possible dates and times for future board meetings. Does any governing board member like to propose a topic for the future? Future board meetings, anyone, Ms. Hogan?
Right now, thank you.
Ms. Velasquez,
I'm good right now too.
Mr. Beach,
I have none.
Mr. Kramer? Good. I'm good as well, thank you.
Thank you. All right, just a reminder of boardings, and then those that will be attending ASMO is next week. So Friday.
All right, school safety and lockdown procedures. Executive session pursuant to ARS 38431.03A. Notice is hereby given to the general public that the governing board of the Santa Cruz Valley Unified School District 35 may vote to hold an executive session for the purpose of discussion or consideration of matters relating to school safety operations or school safety plans and programs. Do I hear a motion to convene in room 125 or conference room?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, a second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Mr. Beach?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you.
Mr. Beach, I'll carry you over there.
All righty. Yeah, do I call in or how does that work?
Please.
Yeah.
Did you forget some people?
Huh?
Did you forget some people?
Yeah, I got there's some laborers. Was that you? Okay. Anything like this, we just make our own.
Yeah.
Yeah. I turned it on to wait.
And I are 90.
Yes, see.
Yo, what is that?
You're not.
190.
I was thinking.
My sweater in the.
To reconvene the regular session,
So moved.
move the second, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Alright,
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Consent agenda. Anybody have anything that they would like to? Discuss now? Ovian? Vasquez?
Number 8 and number 9. Please.
Anyone else? Beach?
I have none.
Kramer?
I have none.
I don't either. So do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda with exceptions of number 8 and 9?
Second.
Second. Okay, and a motion second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, Ms. Vasquez, number 8.
Number 8, okay, I just wanted a clarification because this is for on approval of a probationary teacher, Miss Laura Corral. I just want to know what they were gonna teach, both of them, Miss Mayra del Coro. I just wanted to know
Or
what,
we can do one at a time.
oh, I'm sorry, Miss Corral for number 8.
And Ms. Cabot.
Laura Love, will be teaching second grade at Calabasas.
All right, okay. Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to approve number 8 of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Ms. Vasquez, number 9.
Also, Miss Mayra del Coro.
She's also going to be teaching second grade at Calabasas.
Oh, both of them are gonna be at Calabasas then. Oh,
Yeah. They've done a lot of hires and really good for the kids. Thank you.
all righty, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Vasquez. Do I hear a motion to approve item number 9?
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor, please say aye.
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 And we have no further business to discuss. This meeting is adjourned at 6:39.
I know.
You wanna do? Great. Good
You
job.
know.
Really, what did he-